Hi, it's Robbie from InnerPoweredLife again, and it's been a minute since I've been on here. There's been a lot going on for me, but I wanted to come back today to actually start my series about core wounds and limiting beliefs and how these things can very much affect the neurodivergent community. And the most common experience that pretty much all of us have is the experience of rejection and abandonment. And this can cause very severe trauma for us that can last a lifetime if we don't address it. And so, for most of us, we have very concrete, real life experiences of rejection and abandonment. For some of us, it could have occurred in our family of origin as a young child. Most of us probably had the experience of being very severely bullied at school if we were, attending a school outside of the home. It may have gone on then as we started trying to make friends and get into partner relationships as an adult or seeking employment. And this can start this cycle in our minds where we have experienced rejection and abandonment. So we start anticipating that is going to be our experience going forward. And for those of us who have a rejection sensitive dysphoria profile, it's even more profound because there's already wiring to make us even more sensitive to rejection that is real or perceived. And so, how this can affect us in many ways going forward is it can create or exacerbate social anxiety. We are anticipating being rejected if we go out, so we don't. Some people can take this to kind of extreme and just not leave the house because they're so afraid of being rejected by others if they step out. Um, Others who do go out can fall into extreme people pleasing and not setting boundaries, remaining in situations that are toxic because of being afraid if I set a boundary, I'm going to be rejected, I'm going to be abandoned. It can very much affect our attachment style. And our attachment style, for the most part, is already kind of put in place as a young child, as an infant. Okay. So, depending on our experiences, some of us may have had very unstable caregivers, and we could go into the anxious attachment style, which means we tend to be more clingy and needing feedback and become very anxious if we feel like we're being rejected. Some go to the other extreme of, I can't trust anybody, so I'm going to avoid and just push people away. And others can fall into what's called disorganized attachment, which is you can vacillate between both extremes depending on your situation and how what's happening triggers old trauma responses to you. So the best way to start addressing this is to acknowledge, yes, you have had legitimate experiences of rejection and abandonment. And um, realizing that has happened, that doesn't have to be your story going forward. And it doesn't mean that because it's happened before, it's going to continue to happen. So when we have wounds of rejection and abandonment, we can fall into over generalizing and projecting. So we're like, I've been rejected in this kind of situation before. That's always going to happen now. And we go into it anticipating that. And our demeanor and the way we act often can draw that kind of reaction to us because we're already expecting it to happen. And we look for signs in the environment to prove that we are indeed going to be rejected. Another thing that we can do is jumping to conclusions and doing mind reading um, based on, I've seen this before, it means they're going to reject me, and I know they are, and not being able to see outside of what's happening to realize that the other person may be not feeling well. They may be frustrated with something that's happening in their life. There may be other things going on that have literally nothing to do with you. And interpreting everything to be a rejection is not true, and it doesn't serve you well, and it doesn't help the situation, and it just reinforces old trauma patterns to you. So one of the first things you want to start doing is recognizing that not everything is about other people rejecting you. Even if you perceive it that way, it isn't necessarily. And even if there is a rejection, it doesn't reflect on your value. It could be something going on with them completely. It could be the situation or the person's not a right fit for you. There can be a lot going on. It's not necessarily about you and your value and that you're not worthy enough. For those of us who are neurodivergent, we've had so many experiences of being told we're wrong because we process things differently and we act differently, and people just perceive us to be different. Some of us who have become high masking, we might get to a point where one day we can't keep the mask up and our neurodivergence kind of slips out and we get weird reactions. So that makes us feel unsafe. Um, all of these things, we have to be aware of them if we want to start rewiring our mindset and our expectation of how others are going to receive us and how we can best navigate. So, an easy way to start doing this after you become aware of, hey, not everything is rejection, is to start being cognizant of your thoughts and flipping them as they come up. This does take some practice, right? So if you're used to rejection in a certain scenario and you see the same kind of thing, it feels familiar coming at you, instead of automatically dwelling on the thought of, oh, they're rejecting me, stop and think, am I sure they're rejecting me? Is this something I'm just perceiving based on my old stories? Could there possibly be any other reason for what's happening? And maybe it's not about me. Reminding yourself of all the times that you were accepted for something. And I know there's some people will say, I've been rejected by everybody and everything my entire life. Maybe that has been your overall experience, but there is more than likely at least one time in your life that you weren't completely rejected. And think about that. Think of all the times that you were accepted. Think of all the things that you have done right and understand how much you have to offer. You know that you have a lot to offer, which is why when you think you're being rejected, it's so painful because your mind is like, but I have so much to offer. Why am I getting this negative feedback? Stop and remind yourself of what you do have to offer, the kind of person you are, all the positive things that have happened to you, and start making this a habit. And it's hard because the little nagging negative voice is going to come up. Well, I had this good thing happen once, but you have to make an effort to start rewiring that. And that's part of the healing process with anything is you have to make a commitment that you're going to do your part. And your part in this is accepting things happened. Yes, you have stories. It doesn't have to be your story. And you can control a lot just by your own mindset and the way that you talk to yourself, the way you talk to other people, and the way you present yourself. So, starting to present yourself with more confidence is huge. It's going to be reinforcing to you. And it's also going to send a signal to other people that you're not a person that needs to be rejected, that you bring value. Are we responsible for how other people receive us? No, but you are doing yourself a favor if you start developing confidence in yourself, even if you're afraid, even if you have stories. It is a process. Commit to how you think about yourself and how you think about things, and be open to the fact that there could be other possibilities in a situation besides the negative one that you perceive that reflects your old stories. So, in in tandem with how you are rewiring your mind, take positive steps. This could be reaching out to friends and acquaintances who do give you positive, accepting feedback. It could be joining an online support group of other neurodivergent people or people who have had trauma. It could be, if you are so inclined, actually going out and plugging in to social groups. And it's very helpful if you can find a group with other neurodivergent people. This is not always something that you can find in every town or in every country, and I understand that. But if something like that is available in your area or it's available to you in an online community, please do that. Because as you start connecting with other neurodivergent people, you're going to see that there's other people that are exactly like you who have the same experiences, and that you're not wrong. You're just maybe different from the environment that you have been in. So take proactive effort to do that, and to do things that you're good at, and to do things that reinforce your self-confidence and that you feel are a positive contribution, not only to yourself, but to the world around you. And you'll find as you start putting forth more positive effort and more positive thoughts, you're going to get positive feedback. And so it becomes a an uplifting cycle rather than a self-defeating negative cycle of repeating the same old negative rejection stories. Another thing that can help you if you have social anxiety is if there's somebody you trust and you have a problem with social scripts, is actually like role playing before an interview or before you ask somebody for a date or before you go to an activity. If there's something you're afraid of and there's somebody that you trust, ask them to walk through it with you in your mind so that you have kind of a baseline of what you can expect and how to prepare for it, and you come in with a better mindset, feeling better prepared, and that you're less likely to feel rejected. That can be very helpful for people who have the social anxiety kind of script running in their mind. The other thing that is very essential is to start learning to regulate your nervous system, because it is our nervous system that helps us to respond positively or negatively to things in our environment. And a lot of times we do have to respond because we're in a dangerous situation. But a lot of times our nervous system perceives danger and rejection or abandonment where there actually isn't. And it's because it's running off of old scripts. So regulating your nervous system can look like meditation. It can look like stimming. It can be spending time with your special interest. It can be your spiritual or religious practices and connecting to a higher power. It can be physical movement exercises, playing a musical instrument, singing, um, maybe doing different other kinds of therapies that are helpful to you. And just remembering to breathe. And it doesn't have to be a big production of you have to do it a certain way. Just remembering to actually breathe in and out and not hold your breath in anticipation of something bad happening to you. When you hold your breath out of fear, that tells your body that you're in fear and you're in rejection and you're in danger, and that keeps the cycle looping. Start kind of being aware of that, of when I feel social anxiety or I feel like I'm being rejected or something's not going well or I perceive it's not going well. Am I holding my breath like in fear, or am I remembering to just breathe in a natural way? It sounds very simple, and it is, but it is a very, very huge help, and you can do it anywhere. You don't have to stop and think and make a big production of it. You can just very quietly, even while you're in a situation, just stop and remember to breathe. As you become more aware of your nervous system getting out of whack, you will find ways that work for you that help. Not everything works for everybody, but breathing is a very good way to start. So the other thing that is very helpful ultimately, if you can do it, is to learn through the somatic processing what's going on in your body, are modalities like root cause therapy, which allows your subconscious to go back to where the issue started. It's a very safe process, particularly for neurodivergent people, because you can't mask. You're not required to mask. You shouldn't mask. You should be you, be authentically you, and let what comes up comes up. It's safe. Your subconscious mind is not going to drag up very dangerous things that you're not ready to process yet. There may be stuff that it takes a while for you to get ready to process. That will come up when the time is right and when you're ready to do it. Um, it helps move the bad energy through your body. So the fear and everything that's kind of stuck, you can process that out. Once you have processed that out, it really does help reset your nervous system so that you're not staying in the same loop. And when you do this in conjunction with rewiring your mind, the way you talk and the way you think and the way you act, you can see really, really great improvement just in a matter of weeks or months. It may not necessarily be an overnight thing. It can be for some people, but just starting these processes to get all of the junk out and start letting new things in is very helpful. And